This is about an actual member's experience. So I'm going to try and be as vague as possible. I'm guessing only the people involved would know. And this is just to kind of ask for your opinion. And I've made kind of my own opinion, and obviously I'm a human being, so my opinion is based off on the type of person I am, and I want to know what you think as well. Um, so I wouldn't go ahead and post the this thing. I would just kind of like let you know what happened. So the first chat, it was the same chat anyway. The first message, um, he goes like, I can't see your picture, like your picture isn't clear. And then she says, well, maybe you should go get an iPhone 11. And that could be a joke if there's an LOL. Even if you just don't have an LOL, it could still be a joke if, depending on where your chat is coming from and all that extra. And so the second part of the chat, he goes, are you working? Because obviously it's a holiday. And so he's like, you shouldn't be working. Like, I would, let me speak to your boss about this. I should talk to your boss about this. And then she's like, well, Google is your friend. Well, he was like, let me have your boss's number. And she's like, well, Google is your friend. And I don't know what that meant, but I just that was just on one side. And then to the question, are you working? She responds, I'm not some sales girl at a drugstore. I can't believe you just asked that. And there are like two parts to that. The first part, I don't believe you just asked that. Like, I don't know. I think whatever you do, it's possible for you to be working. And even if it's common sense with whatever you do that you're possibly not working on that day, I feel like there are better ways to communicate it as opposed to, sounding a bit rude to the person, And so the second part of the message where she says, I'm not some sales girl at a drugstore, I just felt very, I don't know. I still felt like that was a little rude. I mean, not even rude to the person, but rude to like sales girls, I guess. I don't know, but I'm just not a fan of when things sound a bit degrading per se. I don't know the term to use. But I mean, that statement just kind of looks down on someone else's profession, like what someone else does. It's like, oh, I'm not this, I'm not some, sales girl. That just kind of irks me. I don't know, but yeah, it just wasn't a very nice chat flow at all. So the guy was trying to be really understanding. He was like, is it rude? Is it rude or is this some miscommunication? So I think, so that's why I was asking for your opinion. Do you think it's rude or do you think it was miscommunication? It just reminded me of a time when I was much younger and a friend of mine was like, I was friends with this footballer guy. She's like, oh, I can't believe you're friends with this guy. He grew up like on the streets of Surulere playing football. And that just irks me because, it's crazy to be judged. I mean, you don't choose where you're from. You don't choose what family you're born into. So it's crazy to look down on someone about a choice that you don't even have. The person doesn't have it. No one has the choice of what family they're born into. So it's crazy to, feel in that certain way when you have no choice about where you are. Even today, you have no say over like your situations or where you are. So when you look down on someone, it's just crazy. Before I go off point, that was not the, yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to know do you think it was rude or not? And this was someone else too that a couple of her other matches said she was rude. But so when you look at that, like if a lot of people are saying something about you, you should check yourself a little because I do meet people a lot of times that 8 people would say, oh my gosh, this girl is clingy. And then you'll be very defensive, like, no, I'm not clingy. They're all just this, that. And you kind of make an excuse and blame everybody else but yourself. Or if 10 different people, you meet like on the streets or on the platform and all of them stop talking to you. They're always like, oh my God, they were not serious people. They're just playing around. They weren't serious. Like all 10 people. Sometimes it takes a lot to sit and check and say, okay, was it something I did? Is there something I'm putting out there? To kind of just, because we're all trying to be better versions of ourselves. And a lot of times you might not see something that other people can see in you clearly. And if you're always defensive, you wouldn't get to, make any corrections or anything like that. So whenever my friends tell me something, sometimes I get vexed, obviously. I'm like, oh, no. But later on I sit and think and I'm like, oh, do I really do this? Or maybe it's something I should work on. So we're trying to work on ourselves. Doesn't mean anyone is like a bad person. But yeah, it does take a lot. But I think people, especially this new year, to actually sit and look at things. If everyone is saying something, like see if it's true, work on yourself. And yeah, so the whole point of this was, do you think the person was rude or do you think it was some miscommunication?